Hey guys, Ashley Francis with Blue Sage Counseling and Wellness, your holistic psychotherapist here in Charlotte, North Carolina. This is video 2 of 3 on clinical depression. And today's video is going to focus on the negative thinking habits that accompany depression. And this is not just with depression, this is categories of negative thoughts that we all experience. But this is the crux of what keeps people that are experiencing depression in depression. You know, you meet those people that are just overall pessimistic, just can't see the silver lining in anything. They just want to naysay anything and everything. And there's a good argument that those people are depressed. It doesn't necessarily mean that they are, but it is a hallmark of depression when we're stuck in these negative thought patterns. So I want to give some attention to these different types of negative thoughts and just shed some light and provide a little bit of clarity on what these thoughts are and how they play a role in clinical depression. So the first one is all or nothing thinking. This is the traditional black or white thinking. It's either got to be all good or it's all bad, and there is nothing in between. So this is a dangerous trap, because when we start to categorize something as all this or all that, then we're leaving out that very important, juicy gray area, which is where possibility lives. So if we are stuck on it being one way or the other, it has to be one way or the other, then it doesn't leave any room for possibility, which means there's no room for growth. There's no room for the possibility of things being any different. So this is, like I said, it's a big trap, and I caution everyone to be very careful of all or nothing thinking. So the next one is overgeneralization. We have this tendency to think that a single negative experience holds true forever. I went on a bad date with a guy and it didn't go well, and now all men are pigs, or all men are just out to have sex. And there again, that's dangerous. Just because you had one experience, or even if you just had a few experiences, does not necessarily mean that that is going to be the case in every single situation. So, and as human beings, we have this tendency to overgeneralize in general. So, it's not necessarily a problem or a bad thing. It's just our brain's way of trying to make sense of things. It likes categories. It likes to make sense of things. But when we do that all of the time and we overgeneralize with most things, that's when it starts to become an issue. So the next thing is a mental filter, where we are ignoring positive events and focusing on the negative. So if you went to a party and there were it was really loud, it was really obnoxious, there was a lot of drinking going on, and that's not something that you're really into, then you're going to be focused on how loud it was and how obnoxious everyone's behaviors were. And you're just going to be focused on how everything didn't work out in your favor, how everything was so negatively impacting you. And that's this mental filter to think that everything is happening to us, that it's all about us, which is it's a really selfish way of thinking of things, but it's a negative pattern that it can be very pervasive. It can be really hard to break. And meanwhile, at that party, there were great things going on too. There were children dancing. There were elderly couples dancing with one another and staying close. There were a lot of great social things happening at that party. So, and you missed all that. If you're focused on all of what went wrong, you're missing out on everything that went right as well. So the next one is diminishing the positive. Anytime someone tries to suggest something to you that sounds positive or upbeat, or tries to help you see the upside of things, you just automatically knock it down. People can get really tired of trying to help you if this is the case. You always want to go towards the negative, or always towards the pessimistic. It can be hard to keep and maintain relationships and friendships if this is the case. So the next would be jumping to conclusions. You're making negative interpretations without actual evidence. So we just automatically assume that when we're driving down the road that this person is going to cut us off, or that this person isn't going to give us a call back, or that it's going to be the worst case scenario. Again, this is another thing that most of us are we're guilty of, but when it's in excess and it rules your life, this is when it's a symptom of something bigger and more problematic. The next one would be emotional reasoning. You're believing that the way you feel reflects reality. Like, I feel like such a loser, everyone must think that way about me too. Because I feel this way, then everyone else must think and feel that way as well. I must be defective. I must be unlovable or unworthy or not good enough. Because I feel that way, other people must feel that way too. Again, that's a trap. Next, and the last one is the shoulds and the should nots. All of my clients know that I like to use the phrase, you are shoulding all over yourself. The shoulds are so dangerous because it is a means of comparison, and that it's a losing battle every single time. Why? Because you are your own individual, they are their own individual, and you will never ever be the same person. So it is irrelevant, and it's not helpful to compare yourself to other people. You hold yourself to such a strict list of what you should and shouldn't do, and then you beat yourself up because you don't live up to your own rules. That's basically what it comes down to. And as you can see, that can be self-perpetuating. We just kind of get stuck in this trap of, I should do this or I shouldn't do that. By far, I would say this is one of the most pervasive categories of negative thinking, and it can be one of the hardest to break as well. So that is it. Those are the categories of negative thoughts, and they play into depression because they keep us stuck, basically. People that are practicing most of these types of negative thinking categories are likely to experience depression or to have a depressive episode. So we really want to be on the lookout for these types of things. And I'm going to go into the last video to talk about coping skills and ways to overcome this. So be on the lookout for that, and I hope to see you there.